Welcome to Shay's Pretty Skinny. I'm Shay, and oh my gosh. Look, if you haven't been over here before, you know we're doing everything but keeping it cute. So look, first things first, housekeeping, okay? On any video, especially this one though, it's not for the faint of heart, because we're not keeping it cute. We're just having candid conversation over here. Nothing special, but it's super candid. And with that said, it may cause things that trigger you. It may cause you to jump into your feelings. It may cause you to make faces. But if it's so bad, right, that it's changing your mood and it's making you feel some type of way, you should click off. Because number one, I'm nobody. So what's the point of letting me waste your time? No point in that. Why do we do that, right? Why do we like hate watch stuff? And you like can't stand it, but you're still watching it. Why are you still watching it? That's going into your subconscious. It's something that I'm saying is not resonating with you. Turn that off. Turn it off. Go watch something that you resonate with. Go watch something that soothes your spirit. It makes no sense. I do it all the time. Even with people that I like to follow. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this one is a little bit different. And it's the turmeric in here. You can't, maybe you can see it a little bit. See, look. Wait. It's turmeric and cocoa. I check this out. Cacao, cocoa, a little Hershey's cocoa too, with a little black pepper, a little pure cane sugar, or you could use any other different sweetener that you normally would use. Make it with some almond or coconut milk. I suggest coconut. Drop a little cinnamon, like the salt guy up in there. Stir that. Okay. On something, okay? For the winter, on it. On it. Throw some honey in there. If you like a light sweetener, throw some honey. If you like something a little stronger, they got like an apple sweetener. Throw some of that. Ooh, guava. Throw some of that. Guava has this nice, like smooth, faint sweetness. Yummy, yummy. Ooh, or date. Date paste is good too. But sometimes I think you need too much of it. But anyway. Okay. Doing everything but keeping it cute. Anyway, so I was talking about how I like to follow people, and sometimes maybe I don't resonate with what they have to say. And lately I was thinking I was in my feelings too, right? I know you wonder what we're gonna talk about, but I was thinking I was in my feelings. You know, I was whining and crying about the fact that every time I talk to somebody, how they approach me is super sexual. You know what I mean? They never try to have a conversation. They're always trying to invite me to the hotels, motels, Holiday Inns. Okay, and I just really wasn't understanding, like, what am I exuding? What am I doing that says invite me to the hotel, motel, Holiday Inn? Okay. And it really be like the Motel 6. But anyway, so I was like, okay, well, maybe it's how you carry yourself, right? But at the end of the day, the more vocal people are and the more comfortable I have become with being me and wearing whatever I'm gonna wear, doing whatever I'm gonna do, talking to whomever I'm gonna talk to, going, you know, whatever, meeting people, right? I was in a master class and they were like, you should meet 5 people a day. Oh my God, terrifying. But ever since I started doing it, good and bad things have happened. But anyway, so doing that, I learned recently, like in the last 12 months, that like my body is something that may cause thoughts that I'm not aware of, right? So it was like, why am I being accused of this or accused of that? Then lately, in the last 3 months or so, I had a male person say to me, you have a body that every woman's trying to get. I'm giggling because, you know, well, I'm giggling. But I understand. Then shortly after that because, the phone picks up everything. Shortly after that, I'm watching my YouTube, and on the roommates, they're talking about pleasure bodies. Or, I mean, that's not what they're talking about, but it's part of the conversation. Women who have pleasure bodies and what they're using them for, and how they're using them to catch men, bait men, marry men, manipulate men, whatever the case is. I didn't listen to the whole podcast, so I don't want to claim I know everything that they talked about. But what really stuck out was about that pleasure body, because it was just such a great way to describe it, right? And so the one thing that I did catch is they were saying, well, women are going out and buying these pleasure bodies, enhancing their bodies in ways that make men hyper attracted to them, right? And then in exchange, they're getting rent paid for, or lifestyles that they normally would not have access to. There's other words. So they're saying they're being manipulated, and it's time that it stops, because they're out here, taking control of them. And this is how I see the men talking, that women are out here taking control of them with these pleasure bodies, these bodies that arouse them. Well, it kind of took me to Sarah Barton, right? If y'all know who that is, in the 1800s, early 1900s, she was on display, African woman, on display because her body parts were larger than what the Europeans were used to. And so there's a lot of stories, and there's a movie out now that I haven't had a chance to watch. But as the story goes, what I've read, read, is that, it was a way that she made money. Whether it was her choice or not, we're not really sure. And then some people are saying, or even dubbing her as like one of the first faces of human trafficking, right? She traveled from where she lived in order to go into like a circus type display of her body. Not necessarily all of her intimate parts, but definitely you could tell that her chest was larger, her backside was larger. It said that she wore a cloth that was actually cultural to where she came from her home, to cover her intimate parts. But it was the fact that she was on display. Then that image took me to a controversial artist whom I will not name, but if I say it, probably some people will know. But a controversial artist who in the 70s had an exhibit where there were like all these things available. So they were the piece of art, right? Like they were the sculpture, and there were all these tools available that you could use on the sculpture, right? So at first people didn't even think that it was real, like it was a live person, until there was a person who used a knife, I believe it was, or scissors, to stab her hand or to stab some part of her body. And it caused bleeding, and that's when everybody knew it was real. Now, and the bizarre thing to me is that the way the story goes is that, it wasn't that people were like, oh my God, this is crazy, like who would do that? No, like more people started doing stuff, like degrading things to her. And the more people who did it, the more people wanted to do it and took part in it. It was so crazy. So to hear that, there are people out there, there are things that they may be thinking, but they won't do them because they're not socially acceptable, but they want to do them. And perhaps when they're in private, then, those are things that they do. The problem is we don't have access to everyone's thoughts. And that's my case with the pleasure body. What makes a pleasure body a pleasure body? Is it me or is it you? Okay? Because at the end of the day, there are people who are born with bodies that look like bodies you buy. Okay? It's why people buy them, because they've seen them, and so they want to imitate that. So they buy the body, right? But that image came from somewhere, which means there's a woman or women with bodies that look like that. Okay? If you ever heard the term of like the woman with childbearing hips, that has to do with curviness. I mean, Jessica Rabbit didn't come from nowhere. Even she had exaggerated parts, and she was hypersexual, She was perceived to be hypersexual. I don't know if it's not a kid movie to me, but anyway, Jessica Rabbit, even in animation, hypersexual, and anyone who's causing attention, they always have something, like if they're stopping traffic, right? The woman in the red dress stopping traffic, what does she have? A contour dress, something that definitely fits the shape of her body, and she's always curvy. Nothing wrong with not being curvy, but for some reason she's always curvy, right? So that's the icon, the image for sexy, sexual, exotic, fun girl, good time, the forbidden fruit. That is the image for it. So if a woman really has that body, is that what you're thinking? Because, when I wake up in the morning, that's not what I'm thinking. Are there women who are thinking that? Yes. Now, whose responsibility is it to figure that out? Your responsibility. That's why you're supposed to talk to someone and ask questions. The problem is, men are so traumatized by what's been going on with the pleasure bodies and getting manipulated that when they see it, right, if it looks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it must be a duck. Sometimes if you talk to the duck, it's not quacking. So perhaps it's not a duck. Maybe it's a goose. Okay, we know it, what they do. Geese lay golden eggs, baby. But anyway, so this is what I'm trying to say, excuse me. It takes all three things, right? So am I responsible for your thoughts when you look at me, what you're thinking that you may be able to do or what you desire to do with my body? Is that really my responsibility? No, it's not my responsibility. I do not control that, okay? I don't. And like I've said before, if a woman has large breasts, when she puts on a turtleneck, it will definitely still show that she has large breasts. You're just not seeing her naked body. If she has a curvy body, you will see that through her clothes. It doesn't matter unless she's wearing some type of burlap sack. And then even then, something's popping through if she has one of those type of bodies. So why aren't men being asked to be responsible for their thoughts as well? Like, yes, we're adults. We're human. People have carnal desires, and we do understand that. I am not responsible for how you communicate that. I'm not responsible that you're paying someone for that, Those are choices. Those are things that you choose to do. How is it my responsibility? It's my responsibility to get up and feed my soul, present myself in the best light that I think is the best light for me. And if you're attracted to that, then we communicate, we talk, we exchange energy, okay? If you're over here jumping to a porn before you even say hello, I ask you, how is that my responsibility? Why is that my problem? There's somebody for everybody, and I keep saying that. So yes, there's going to be a pleasure body lady who is available for the man who wants that. That's all he wants. That's all he needs. And if he's willing to pay for that, adorn that, invest in that, that is their business. Okay? I think some people feel like they're getting tricked. The thing is, communication is the key. Okay? Now, I was cool with it when it was on the roommates. But when Big Brother Trend came out and was like, oh, these ladies with the boom and the boom. No, ladies, there's nothing wrong with your boom and your boom. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Let's not. I'm not even going to let that conversation continue. There's nothing wrong with your 2 bumps and a hump. Ain't nothing wrong with that. What men need to start doing is checking what they're thinking about. When you start talking to a lady, if she presents herself that way and that's how she's speaking to you, okay. Then you go down that road. You take that fork and you say, look at here, lady. That's not my get down, okay? But if she's not going down that road and she actually has intelligent conversation for you, have that conversation. What I've noticed is, like they say, like who likes you, right? And at first, I didn't really understand what that meant. But this is the deal. Like before, I was 240 pounds, right? So I went where the people like 240 pounds, right? And then I look at that selection. And then I see what I'm attracted to. Okay, I'm attracted to that one, right? And then we converse, right? We connect or we don't. That's how you do it. Now, I really can't be complaining about, oh, guys they don't respect me. They're not attracted to me. That if I'm over here at the 150-pound club, okay? If I'm 240 pounds, but I'm over here looking at the selection at the 150-pound club, of course I'm not gonna get anything because those are the people who prefer people who are 150 pounds, and I'm not, okay? The nice thing about that is no matter what is going on out here, whether you have black hair, long hair, short hair, whether you're tall or fat, you dark, you light, you skinny, you got droopy eyes, you got big eyes, you got a big forehead, you got a 6 head, you got 2 chins, you got 1 chin, you got 3 boobs, you got 8, whatever's going on, there's somebody for that. Ask me how I know. I kid you not. When I was 240 pounds, there was somebody for that. When I was 200 pounds, there was somebody for that. When I was 180 pounds, there was somebody for that. When I was 140 pounds, there was somebody for that. When I was 118 pounds, there was somebody for that. I cut my hair off thinking, because I used to like gain weight, right? I have, I guess, a pleasure body, right? Ever since I was a little girl, grown men have been looking at my body. And when I say little girl, I mean like 5th grade little girl. 5th grade. Looking at my body in a sexual way, and I used to feel ashamed of that, thinking that I was doing something wrong, right? Like I was walking around trying to get men, and I wasn't. All I was doing was waking up every day, putting on the clothes that my mother bought for me, you know? And she wasn't buying me anything, trust me. I grew up in a very religious household. We went to church a lot. And I wasn't allowed to listen to secular music. So there's some things like I wasn't allowed to wear. So it wasn't like my mom was buying me these hypersexual clothes and I wasn't changing when I went to school or anything like that. But still, people would say that. I remember being in junior high and even having the boys say to me, you have a body like a grown woman, you know? So that was trouble for me, and I always felt bad. So growing up, summer, winter, fall, spring, I always had a sweater on, always, to try to cover my butt. And then, you know what was so funny about that? When I grew up, okay, some people, we were like looking at pictures and stuff, and there came a time, I think it was my senior year, and I used to wear short shorts all the time. I had these big old fat thighs or whatever, but oh well, whatever. I had big old butt, big old fat thighs, small waist, small top, bony arms, big old thighs. So I used to wear these little booty shorts all the time. And I didn't really remember that, but we were looking at pictures and I was like, man, you was always wearing booty shorts. And I was like, but I was ashamed of my body. And I was like, I used to wear sweaters all the time. And they're like, yeah, why did you do that? And I was like, to cover up my butt. And they were like, it only made it look bigger. And I felt so bad because that whole time I was feeling ashamed that I was doing something. I wasn't doing anything. So even when I thought I was minimizing it, I was maximizing it. Okay. So then I become comfortable with myself, right? And then you get other comments. So I just learned that either way, if you're covering it up, if you're showing it off, it really doesn't matter. Somebody's going to be unhappy. So at the end of the day, you got to decide what you're trying to do with it, okay? That makes you happy. Because really, that's what the people are attracted to. Male or female, people are attracted to good energy, okay? When you go into a room and somebody's having fun, right? Even if you're a little bit shy, you're like, oh my God, you might giggle a little bit, you know, at what they're saying or what they're doing. You know, it just happens. You might still be a little shy, but you get to giggle on, you know. If you're an extrovert person, oh, you're definitely going over there with them, right? That's just how it is. You see somebody sitting in the corner and you're like, man, I don't want them to be having a bad time. Extrovert, go over there. What's going on with you? Come on. Everybody's different though. And I do respect that. So that's why I don't feel some type of way if somebody's like, oh, well, why do you act like that? Okay, girl, that's me. But if you're not resonating with it, you know, you don't gotta be in my close space. You know what I'm saying? We don't gotta talk to each other. We don't have to go to each other's home. But it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with me. It doesn't mean I need to change anything. You just don't resonate with me. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's not gonna resonate with everybody. Nothing wrong with that. But we can still coexist. It's not a problem. It's really not a problem. So back to the pleasure bodies. It really has to be a conversation. I'm thinking, especially Big Bro, I want to challenge him because he really says some really good things. But on this one, Big Bro, I think you wrong, okay? Where they do that at? Blaming people for how they was born, okay? Get your mind right.